All right, Shalom. I want to start off this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and the highest honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakudash, double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone, which are the men that rule well, men who taught us his truth, peace, blessings, and citations to the elect. And the willing of the title of the lesson will be Value and Rest. All right, which here in the DC church, one of our heads basically, had his we do a thing where we have a word for the week, and we move accordingly to that word, meaning make lessons, speaking on it, things like that, something to meditate on during the week, through the spirit. And one of the heads, Shamar Moff, decided on two words, value and rest. And these are just all the scriptures that came to mind when he said those words. All right. It's quite a few precepts, but when I think about value and rest, when I think about value, I think about the wisdom that the Most High hath given unto us, because when you are found in a trial, right? When you're in this truth and you're in a trial, okay, you bank on the wisdom that the Lord has given you. All right. Whether it's a spiritual trial in your mind or whether it's a financial trial and you use wisdom to get out of the situation or to better your situation, or even if it's just praying, that's still part of banking on wisdom. You're using that valuable thing in your mind. You're using the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that Yahweh hath given unto you, right? So, that's what I think about when I think about value. And when I think about rest, I'm going to go to the book of Isaiah 14 to talk about that, okay? But first, I want to talk about that value. How is wisdom valuable? What makes wisdom hold so much value? What makes it more valuable than even currency, tangible currency? Because wisdom is not something you can acquire physically. It's something that has to be given unto you spiritually, because even if you read the whole Bible back and forth, you will not get wisdom out of it if the Most High Yahweh Yahushai does not want you to, right? You can gain knowledge, but never wisdom, because wisdom comes from experience. You can only only in the truth can you come into this, read scriptures, and then the Most High put you through something for you to learn it. It might sound scary to some people, but it's true. When you come into this truth, as soon as you learn something, the Lord's going to put you through something to test you out for it, or so you can gain experience from it, which experience means out of a trial, right? So this is 2 Timothy 3:15. This is what I want to start off with. It says, "And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Hamashiach Yahushua." Right? That valuable thing, that tangible thing that we have is wisdom. The scriptures even say, I don't think I grabbed it. Yeah, it didn't. But wisdom is better than weapons of war. Okay? That's how valuable wisdom is. Think about that. When you really sit there and think about wisdom, being better than those things. Yeah, wisdom is better than weapons of war. But one sinner destroyeth much good. Think about weapons of war in modern day times. Because back then, you had the swords, the shields, bows and arrows, right? Those things cost money. They weren't free. They weren't cheap to make either, right? The modern day weapons of war. For brothers that know about firearms and things like that, firearms are very, very expensive. Probably the cheapest handgun in America that's actually, somewhat reliable or is reliable is probably about maybe $250, maybe $300. That's a lot of money to some people, right? To some people, that's the majority of their weekly check, So wisdom is more valuable, because then you look at the weapons that are actually used in the military. Those rifles, they're in the thousands. Those the handguns, they're they're $500, $600. Some are $1,000, right? That's a lot of money to some people. And some average people can't even afford that with this economy, right? Wisdom is more valuable than weapons of war. That's a big thing when you think about it, right? So it says here, in this scripture, it says, thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation, right? The scriptures can make you wise unto salvation. That's worth a lot. That's a lot of value added. That's a lot of value added unto you, because you have been given that option. You have been given that opportunity. You got to think about that, right? So it says that salvation, right? There's nothing else that can give you salvation but Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And it starts with the wisdom. It starts with the knowledge, right? So yeah, you got to think about how much value was added into your life after that, right? So let's see. Wisdom of Solomon 3:11. For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Right? If you don't have wisdom, everything you do is vain. Why so? Well, because if you're not laboring for Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you're laboring in vain, because only He can deliver you. Salvation comes through Him. All right? Don't forget that. You got to remember that. So if you're if you're despising wisdom, how do you despise wisdom? When the men of the Lord tell you to repent, you don't. That's one way to despise wisdom. All right? Knowing the right thing to do by coming into the truth, but you don't do it. That's another way that you despise wisdom. Okay? It says here, their labor is unfruitful and their works unprofitable. Yeah, right. All these men that are laboring to be multimillionaires is worthless. Truth be told, it's completely worthless. It says, I'm going to get Psalms 25:14. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him. Right? Because to get wisdom, you have to fear Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You have to do what He says. It says, and He will show them His covenant, right? Because we're going to obtain that new covenant through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right? And that doesn't mean you're going to be super knowledgeable in the scriptures either, to those brothers out there that come in last minute. They ain't going to know all the breakdowns, but they knew enough to call upon the name of the Lord. That's wisdom in itself, man. That's written. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and are safe. Right? Proverbs 8:11. I'm just going through them, For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. You can't compare anything to wisdom. From the finest of necklaces, the purest of golds, it can't be compared to wisdom, because all those things are corruptible, but wisdom will last forever and can make you wise into salvation, pursuing to what? 2 Timothy 3:15. All right? That's value. Wisdom is valuable. All right? It's tangible, truly. So I get through faith. Okay? Wisdom is very profitable unto those that can see it. All right, now when it comes down to rest, because the video title Value and Rest, what do I think about when I think about rest? I think about the Lord delivering us. I think about, being out of this captivity and bondage. A lot of people may not look at it like that, but it really is, man. All we do is stress in America. I'll never forget, I had an Ishmaelite that told me, he said, most of us that come to this country, we only come here to get rich and leave, or to make some money and go home. To start a business, right? We start a business here, make as much money as we can, and then we go home with the profits, he said, because he said that most of the time when his family members or people from where he's from Afghanistan, he said when they come here, they get depressed because life in America is miserable, he said. He said even when the economy was a little bit better, he said that life here is just miserable. He said, I can't imagine what it's like for you guys, talking about us Israelites, right? Because he knows I'm he doesn't know I'm an Israelite per se, but he knows I'm not, he knows I'm a so-called Hispanic, right? So, that this place is terrible, man. If a heathen that is supposed to be able to profit from here is saying that, that's how you know this is hell and this is captivity and we need rest from it. Isaiah 14:1, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. That's rest right there, man. The Lord's still saying that He wants us after all the BS that we did. Man, that's amazing, man. That's mercy. And set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives who captives they were. Right? We're going to receive rest. The people who oppressed us, they're going to serve us. Think about that. You don't have to walk, Your servants can carry you around, things like that. I ain't saying we're going to literally do that, but we will be carried by the heathen for sure, right? Imagine things like that, man. Imagine not having to work. Your job is to rule nations of people, right? Your job is to collect income, tributary, right? That's amazing, man. That's rest. Imagine not having to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. I'm saying that for myself personally. You know, that's a hard thing that I had to get used to, man. It's not easy, right? That man, not having to wake up, man, I be beating the sun in the morning. I be getting up before the sun do. In the kingdom, I ain't gonna do that because I'm gonna be resting, as well as all my brothers and sisters, man. We all gonna be resting in the kingdom. We all gonna get that rest, right? It says, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. That's rest. Being able to rule over those people that made you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, or those people that made you come to work, and made you as in you had no other option. You can't eat if you don't work, right? It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. That's another thing. It ain't even just waking up early. It's also rest in your mind, man, not just physical rest. The Lord's going to make us to rest even in our minds. Okay? We're going to rest from the sorrow and everything. All right? And from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, right? Because we serve in hard bondage right now. You know? And guess what? We're going to get that rest through the value we have obtained through wisdom. That's why I opened up with 2 Timothy 3:15. Okay? So that's all I wanted to bring out. The Spirit just hit me to bring out those scriptures. I want to give, again, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushua, B'Shem Ruach double honors to my elders and apostles of great millstone, which are the men that rule well and men who taught us His truth, peace, blessings, and citations to the elect. All right. With that, shalom.